Hey everyone, my name is Bobby Jackson. I'm a guitar player based in the DMV area. I play with a band called Rip the Radio. We're in the studio working on our first EP. I play with a couple of Baltimore-based artists, and I play a lot of church music. And I was talking to a friend of mine about just all of the projects that are going on right now, and he really encouraged me to do a gear video because they're significantly different, but I'm using the same gear for all of it. So over the years, I've gone to YouTube and typed in pedal board or guitar rig or whatever, and there's so much cool content on there. And it's been really helpful depending on the stage of life you're in, whether you can afford the Mac Daddy, rig, or you're on a budget. There's something out there for you to help you see how to use whatever price point of gear there is. There's a lot of opinions. So here we are. I just figured I would do it too, throw it out there, have fun making the video. And again, it's all opinions. Whatever works for you works for you. So really this video is to show you what I'm using, and yeah, hopefully inspire someone. If not, it's fun to make the video. So let's get into it. Through my gear quickly. In the shot here are the main two amps that I'll take out with me. On the left is an Orange Rocker 30. It's an original rocker. It doesn't have reverb. And I'll run that through an Orange 212 cabinet. It's the Jim Root signature cabinet. I chose that compared to the actual Orange or the standard Orange cabinet because the bass response on it I found to be much tighter, and I like to run my amps dark and brighten them up with pedals, and I play mostly Strats and Tellys and Jazzmasters, so the single coils really work well with a darker amp. And I appreciate Jim Root as a guitar player. I'm not a metalhead, but I appreciate his approach. Next to that, I have a custom built Tweed circuit. It's housed in an Ampeg Reverberacket shell. The original cabinet was handmade by the guy that built it, but I found this shell online and I wanted it. It's a Tweed circuit. It has a 3-band EQ, double power, so it's a little heavy because of the transformers, but the guy who built it, Dominique Johnson, lives in DC, and I met him at the music store that I frequent, and he had that amp in there, and I bought it from him because it just sounds great. I got to know him a little bit. Great dude. So moving on to the pedal board. Throughout the years, I've had MIDI switching and regular true bypass loopers, and I've had timelines and all of those things. And I always keep coming back to individual stomp boxes, the original, the DD20. So that's how I approach this. I've found that no matter who I'm playing with or what I'm doing, these pedals work really, really well. So my bass sound is, I'm just going to fly through this real quick because these videos can drag out. I'd like to leave a couple pedals on all the time. One of those is my Deluxe CMAT Mod Signacomp and the JHS Space Commander at the end of my chain. It's a very subtle reverb setting, but even with the reverb off, that pedal just takes everything that's going through it and enhances it and makes it sound great. So my bass tone through the Tweed sounds like this. Oh, there we go. I'm not even going to play what it sounds like with that off because that's how I love it. This is the sound. This is my bass sound. So after that, it goes into a Micropog. I'm not going to play that. You know what a Micropog does. The only time I turn the compressor off usually is when I'm using my JHS Mini Foot Fuzz. Here's what that sounds like. Just a dirty, dirty fuzz. So first stage gain is my Walrus Audio 385. because it works really well with the out-of-phase sound on my Strat. It's just a great drive. I used to use it for heavier OD and took it off my board, put it back on here as a light OD, and it sounds great. V3 Super Bolt, here's what that sounds like. I always tried to stay away from the V3s because I thought the red remote idea was kind of cheesy until I actually started using it. Sometimes I'll only use the Super Bolt. Here's what it sounds like with the red remote engaged. Like a dirtier Super Bolt, and it's really, really useful and practical. Next is my JHS kilt. It was a version 1. It was in the first batch, serial number 13. I get questions sometimes of why my volume is as loud as it is, or why it's as high as it is right here. I think something is wonky inside. I've asked JHS about it. They've said they would fix it, but I'm afraid that if they do fix it, it could change the mojo that it has. So it's working for me. When it stops working, I'll send it in, but I'm using it for a heavier gain now. Here's what it sounds like. None of the dip switches are engaged, so here's what it sounds like. With the boost. Very practical, versatile, amazing pedal. Is great. And I grew up idolizing Stu G. So that was really cool. JHS Clover. I've had it all over my board. I've had it at the beginning of my chain, the very end of my chain, in between delays. The best place for me is right after my drives. So here's what that sounds like. I love this thing because it takes my 385 that is set very light, and it just bumps it a little bit to make it a little louder to cut through, and they work really well together. Here's what that sounds like. It's a great pedal. It's very practical. Like I said earlier, I have a Nash Strat that I use, a Nash Telly that I use. I have a Gibson Les Paul Jr. Special that has P90s. Usually have a Jazzmaster of some sort. I do have a Les Paul that has the humbuckers in it, and the Clover is really cool because my amps are run darker and everything else is pretty much EQ'd around single coils. When I do want to use a humbucker, I can just EQ it with this, leave it on, and it makes the Les Paul sound great. After the Clover is my my Boss Vibrato. It's great. I would love to have an original, but the Wazacraft one is great. Then after that, it goes to my Boss volume pedal. I love this one. I run the tuner out. I have the TU3. It's dusty and dirty. But this feels like it's not going to break. And I've had 2 Ernie balls that have broken, and it's not been fun. So out of the volume pedal, it goes into my Noise Kick Effects tremolo. It's called their Reef Trem, local company here in Baltimore. It's really fun because as you increase the speed, there's a dip switch on there that makes the tremolo harder, and it cuts. It's more of like a helicopter sound. And that's how I use it. I don't use it any other way. So here's what that sounds like. It's really fun to use. Out of there, it goes into my DD20. I use that for all dotted eighth settings. I've got 3 settings on there. Short quarter. Then I've got long quarter. Then I have this sweep setting that I use it for one song with one band, but it sounds so good and it's so fun to play, I don't change it. So that's why I use that. Next is my deluxe Memory Man. Some of my guitar friends give me a lot of crap for carrying that on my board and not leaving it at home, but I am not a believer in having gear that you don't use. It's relatively new to me. I've had it for about 6 months. It does what a Memory Man does. I'll use it for swells on my band's single that we're working on right now. That's all the delay I used. It was a lot of fun to use that. So anyway, here's what it sounds like. Delay for swelling. After that goes into my RV5. I'm running it in a way that I saw that Dan from That Pedal Show suggested. So the signal goes into input A, and then out of output A I run a cable into input B, and then signal to the next pedal comes out of B. I don't remember exactly what he said it does, but it makes it sound freaking huge, and I love it. Here's what it sounds like. I love it. It's awesome. After that, the Space Commander. The reason I leave that on all the time, as I said earlier, is it gives this overall enhancement to the tone. You can definitely tell a difference if you turn it off. It doesn't make it dirtier. It doesn't, I don't know. Even just the pedal being on, even if all of the dip switches are disengaged and I don't have reverb or anything on, it just takes a signal and like makes it fatter, I guess. I don't know. But it works for me and I love it. So after that, I have the Danelectro $1 Billion Boost. I'm borrowing that from one of our church boards because I usually have like a show boost. My buddy Steven built me a MOSFET boost, but I need to get both of those looked at because one of them needs a new switch. Anyway, but what's cool about this one is it's got EQ options, which I didn't think I'd love, but it's cool to use. So here's what it sounds like. And what's really cool about it is if I add the Clover with it, it just gives me a really nice clean sound. Really, really well. Again, this is all my opinion. These are just the pedals that I've gotten over time that just work well. I enjoy them. It all comes down to what works for you. So, and everything routes to a junction box that I have underneath here that my friend Steven built me. It's 1 input, 2 output, because there are times where I'll run 2 amps. and it makes it much easier to have it all routed to the same place. Board is a pedal train. Case is Creation Music Company. I have cases for my amps. Yeah, so hopefully you get something from this. Don't troll me in the comments. If you have any questions, please either leave a comment or feel free to email me. And yeah, thanks for watching.